This is Karen A. from Jerusalem, and I want to welcome you to the Reco12 podcast. I'm part of Reco12, a family of recovered individuals across the globe that seek to bring their recovery, their spirituality, and the undiluted solution of the big book into the world and into their communities. Today I'm here with two special guests, my mom squad or my mommy god squad. We've got Kirsty and Nadia, my fellows. We're literally Afro-Euro. One is from Afro, Nadia from South Africa, and Kirsty is from England. So we take this seriously and literally, just like our big book. We are three mothers in recovery, and we like to share our recovery through the big book and the steps as it pertains to our parenting, because the big book dedicates no small amount of verbiage, no small amount of black ink to what it's like being a parent, a spouse. In the chapters, the family afterwards, more about alcoholism, etc., etc. Today, we are going to discuss step 2. Came to believe that a power greater than us could restore us to sanity. Before getting started with that, Reco12 is a recovery network. On the Reco12 website, you can go ahead and Google Reco12 if you would like to pay forward your 7th tradition to help cover Zoom subscriptions and costs. You could do so there through PayPal or Venmo. And if you would like to speak in the Afro-Euro Timezone or any time zone, you could go to the Speak Pipe section of the website and record a 3 to 4 minute share, and we'll be in touch with you. Similarly, you could just send me a message saying you would like to share your experience, strength, and hope in whatever fellowship you're in, and I will be in touch with you personally. Without further ado, Nadia and then Kirsty will go Afro-Euro. We'll go in order. We'll go Afro first. Maybe introduce yourself. You have a brief recovery bio for those who've not met you on our previous podcasts. And then we'll have Kirsty do the same. And then Kirsty, after you introduce yourself, maybe you could read step 2 slowly and define it for our audience. Yes, I've officially put you both on the spot. Okay. Take it away.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. I don't know where everyone is, but there's a huge shout out to our Reco12 family. Karen, great to see you again. My sister Kirsty, you too. Nadia, a recovered alcoholic, an addict, and a grateful member of, these 12-step fellowships. And my life has changed irrevocably because I took the hand of someone who could walk me through the pages of the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous. And it says there, we are sure to have found something which can solve all our problems. And one of the biggest challenges of my life as somebody in a program of recovery is parenting. Parenting, and it's something I can't get away from. It's like food. It's there every single day, 24/7. And this book and these wonderful human beings, these souls walking this journey with me, have helped me, because it's we of Alcoholics Anonymous, not an I program. And I had to learn that the hard way. So I'm really grateful to be here today and to snorkel through our beautiful, magical book. Thank you.
Hi, guys. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Hi, guys. Kirsty, very grateful, recovered addict. For today, if I put my program into action, so I'll quickly qualify as an addict. What brought me to these rooms is that I had a mind that constantly lies to me, a mind that tells me that next time will be different, that I can pick that first drug, drink up. A mind that couldn't remember the badness of the last time, couldn't remember the wreckage of my life. I had a mental blank spot where I couldn't remember how bad the last time was. My mind in my own voice would say, like, this is a good idea, this will just be one. And if I'd have done a lie detector test, I would have passed it. I honestly always thought the next time would be different. And I lived in years of that great obsession of somehow, someday trying to control that use. And of course, once I put one in, for anyone new around, I had an allergy. The word allergy just means abnormal reaction. Once I put one in, I found it impossible to stop. I set off what's called a phenomenon of craving, which is beyond my mental control. So I could not stop. I could not control that usage once I started. And I was also, my main problem, the biggest problem of all was when I put the drink and drugs down, I wasn't okay. When I put the drink and drugs down, I was at that jumping off point. I had this hole in my soul, which today I know is my spiritual malady, which I needed filling with only spiritual help. I come into the rooms a total mess. I couldn't be a mother, even, with all the might in the world of trying, and I could not put the substances and the drink down. And today it's not like that. And, came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity is a two-part step to me. I come to believe, which is a process, not an event. And then it could restore us to sanity. I have to believe that I'm insane to want something else to restore me to sanity. And step 2 for me comes very easily when I've got a solid step 1, when I totally understand that utter powerlessness, that I'm powerlessness over my mind. My mind's always going to tell me to go back there. And then my body's powerless. I'm powerless once I put one in, I set this thing off. That is total, utter powerlessness in 2 different ways. And when I truly can see to my innermost self that I'm a real addict, that I'm a real alcoholic, then I have to, my only option is the lack of power. That was my dilemma. Page 45. So when I truly believe that the lack of power is my dilemma, then it goes on to say we had to find a power by which we could live, and it had to be a power greater than me. Like there was no other option for me. And for a long time, I was page 567, 568. I'll just get it up in my book so I don't add any words to it. There is a principle which is a bar against all information, which is proof against all arguments, and which cannot fail to keep a man in everlasting ignorance. That principle is contempt prior to investigation. And that was me. I was dying. I couldn't be a mom. I couldn't hold down a job. I couldn't manage my own emotions. I wanted to be dead, but I still did not want God. Why? I'd never had God in my life. I didn't want it. Like, why was I so against this? Because I've got a mind that lies to me. I've got a mind that tells me you can do this. My ego will come out. I put that substance and drink down and all these other things come up, which is what I need. I think Nadia just said it, to solve all my problems. My problem is me. I am my biggest problem. And all I need above what I just read, willingness, honesty and open-mindedness are the essentials for recovery, but they're absolutely indispensable. So I didn't believe, but I've come to believe. And today, gosh, when you experience God come into your life, God's always been there. The great reality is that God was always here deep down. Like, I found God deep down, but I wasn't aware. I was waking up to the presence of God in my life. And the process of coming to believe, I could totally accept that I was insane. I could totally see how the word insanity, doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different outcome. That was my life. Keep picking up that drink, keep having that line, keep wanting to go to a festival or a party I kept doing this same action over and over and over again and expecting a different outcome, expecting to be able to have one glass of wine with my tea. And it was never the case. But, coming to believe has been a process. And when I experienced and was aware to God in my life, I couldn't argue with that. And all I needed to start was that honesty, open-mindedness and willingness. And with willingness, I always say action. It's not the steps I learn about, how much I can read in the book, how much I can speak in meetings, and I hate speaking in meetings as well. I get full of fear and sat here and fear now, but it's not that. It's going on this journey. It's a process, not an event. It's a relationship I'm building with God if you don't like the word God, with a power greater than me, but it says it must be a power greater than yourself. It must be a power greater than my human mind. And that is step 2 in a very nutshell for me. Do you want me to hand over to Nadia?
Amazing. Yeah. One sec. Hi, everybody. I'm sorry, I have to have my camera off periodically, but yeah, came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. Before getting on with these ladies, I was going to say that it's like a 2-part step, right? Came to believe and restore us to sanity. And then as I was preparing for today, I realized that it's actually 3 parts, right? There's came to believe. I had to come to believe, right? Because in step 1, I'm in powerlessness and unmanageability, right? I'm in the mess. And then I pivot to step 2, and I have to come to believe. And you have to see a glimmer of hope, and we know that we're most effective, like it says in page 20 to 30 of our big book, that this works great for the alcoholic of the hopeless variety, the addict of the hopeless variety. Or as Cameron F., who wrote our amazing workbook, 12 Steps in 4 Hours, the worse off your resume, the more likely we are going to hire you for the job, right? The worse off you are. If Carl Jung, esteemed psychologist, was not able to treat people, Dr. William Silvercourt was not able to treat people, but yet the fellowship of AA was. So the first step, or the first partial step in step 2, is came to believe. Nadia, I'm going to ask you to share about just that bit. Your experience, strength, and hope, whether in addiction or as a mommy. Coming to believe, where did you see a flicker of light in the big mess that was all around and that perhaps even you had created?
Thank you. Thank you. I love what you just shared there, 3 parts. I also, in preparation for this, I went and I looked and I was like, what is that? For me, I remember the experience of coming to was when I would wake up from a blackout. And like Karen said, it would just be chaos and wreckage and debris around me and about me. And it was very much the same in recovery. Like I said earlier, there was a big chunk of my life that I could not and would not. It says in chapter 5, some of us could not or would not thoroughly follow this path. And I could not, because I did not. I had such an identity. I was so what's the word? So identified so strongly with being a mom that it was me. It was not separate of me. It was me. It was who I was, that I couldn't see it was just another part of me that I had to hand over to God. And it says here, believe. That means to accept something is true, especially without proof. So for me, I came into these rooms. Yes, I had a magical, massive experience. I was separated from alcohol and drugs by a power greater than me. There was no doubt in my mind that it was a supernatural act. But I then spent 3 years in these rooms just blowing from one direction to the next, not knowing how to parent, what I was. I was in constant blackout. And life looked like this. So just very quickly, this is what the chaos looked like. It was a detailed list of chores to control the children's behaviors and outcomes, monitoring their phone, walking around after them, obsessing if they didn't answer their phone call, obsessing. Oh my God, the stories that I would tell myself in that short little hour that they were gone, just for an hour down the road. And the stories that I would tell myself. I would say yes to every single request just to wrest satisfaction. Just if I could just manage well, then I'm going to wrest satisfaction out of the situation by saying yes to the children. And then the retired businessman, the minister who sighs over the sins, the outlaw safecracker, these were the different faces that I kept putting on. I was complaining about how terrible my life is, and oh my God, I'm a mother in recovery, and my poor kid, she's so traumatized, and this is why she's acting out, and it's just all old ideas. I was just that bitter, that morass of self-pity. And then coming across as incredibly pious towards her in the hopes that she will change through osmosis to my behavior. Like if I say the right things, if I speak recovery, if I drown our house in AA and recovery in meetings, that somehow through osmosis, she'll stop behaving the way she is. All of this stuff to control the outcomes. And then the outlaw safecracker, I felt wronged, for everything that was happening to me. So I just carried on with no regard to anyone, no regard to her. Like I'm so wrong. Like I'm a mom in recovery. Why am I not getting all the love and the adoration? So that was the chaos. And then I have shared it on this meeting before. There was one night where it was very violent in this home because, like many of us, we know that alcoholic aggression, that alcoholic violence, like only us can portray and manifest. And it was being met by her, and it was just coming from both angles. And I blacked out. And when I came to, thank God, I love this experience so much. I love it. It sounds very painful, but I love it so much. When I came to, I had this child looking at me going, I don't know who you are. 3.5 years in these rooms, working a program, doing everything you've told me to do. And I've got my child looking at me going, I don't know who you are. And when she walked away, I fell to my knees. Again, I've got to come back in through the ringer, right? Bruised and broken. Just tears streaming down my eyes. And then I knew, oh my God, here's another part of my life I didn't see that I've got to hand over. I came to believe, loved that moment. It's always it's darkest before the dawn, right? Like it says in Bill's story. Thanks.
Amazing. So she said she didn't know you. She didn't recognize you, the manageability and the wreckage. But how did you come to believe? Where did you see a flicker of light? Because that sounds pretty dark. Where did you begin to think that, a new dawn will come, even though it's been so dark again? Nadia.
So it was at that moment when I called out and I just knew I needed all the help I could get. And I have also shared it on this platform before. We live in an age of miracles. And I had to make some work of it, right? I had to make some work of it because I'm not going to just sit and then all these solutions are going to pour into my lap. That's not how it works. It's called a program of action. There's a whole chapter dedicated to it, into action for a reason. And I made work of it. I made work of finding women who were also parents. I made work of it, of going to the meetings and asking who can help me look at the 12-step process in a whole new shape and form, not just the drugs and the alcohol. And with that, the help came. And that's what I love about this program. Like when you ask for help and you're doubting that there's a power greater than yourself, and all of a sudden the help comes from directions that you could possibly not have manipulated. You could possibly not have made it up. Phone calls from people who have your numbers, phone calls from people you haven't spoken to in ages, messages in meetings, and all of a sudden I'm sitting more straighter and straighter and my ears are more and more perked and I'm like, there's a power and it loves me. It loves me and it loves my child and it loves my family situation. And it's just pouring help out to us all the time. Conscious contact. You know what that means? We've always had contact. I just wasn't conscious. I wasn't conscious that I could use this power in this phase of my life. And that was my coming to believe. And it's just another level of God. Like it's this video game of God. Like I leveled up with God. Like I took him into my mama sphere. That's not Big Book. That's just Nadia speaking.
Amazing. I love what you said. A couple of things. Nadia said this. The first step in the Big Book talks about is that willingness. You don't have to believe. You just have to be willing to believe. I want to get to the second part. which is a power that's greater than ourselves. But something else Nadia touched upon is, in all our affairs, in my work, I also identify as a codependent, um, in the cocktail of my addictions, pun intended. And I parted ways with my cleaning lady of 7 years. Now, this was a bad relationship. She was loyal. She came regularly. I let her in my house without a key, but she would wear my new flip-flops that I had just bought online, expensive ones. She would talk on the phone constantly, and it was like crazy because I felt like a prisoner in my small apartment. She was on the phone. I was hoping to get some quiet in my own house. And then finally, whatever, she cried and she left and she took something personally. And I had to work my program at that moment. I had to come to believe as a mommy, as a person running a household, I need help folding laundry. I need help cleaning my house. I'm a widow with 6 kids. And thank God. And I had to be willing to believe that God could send me cleaning help. God could send me another mother's helper. And see, that's what Nadia is referring to, whether in my recovery, in my food addiction, in my codependence. Do I believe that God could send me a new cleaning lady, even though we'll call her N. N was by me for 7 years, even though, but wouldn't you know, I got a man who's better and quieter and more thorough. And I got another girl from next door to fold some laundry. And we practice these principles in all our affairs. But that first part that we come to believe, I want to move to the second part, in a power greater than myself, because that means I have to get a little bit small. See, if you're smart like me or Nadia or Kirsty, that could be a real liability in these rooms because many of us are really smart. We have to get small and we have to have something greater than ourselves. So see, in order to get cleaning help, folding laundry, peeling potatoes, floors washed, because I'm working to support my family or doing homework or whatever, or even exercise, I have to believe in a power greater than myself, believe that it's not up to me and my networking and putting an advert in the local classified section. A power greater than myself, get me extra help with my kids and around the house and anything else. I purposely give a mundane example because that's what it means when we say in all our affairs. Certainly with parenting, I so related to what Nadia was saying about the control. Yesterday, I was on top of my teenager. Come home, fold the laundry. Oh, and she helped me for 5 minutes with about a 3-minute break. So I really lost it. I'm sure any moms of teenagers know exactly what I'm talking about. She was on the phone and eating schnitzel. And then I was like, you're going to touch the clean laundry with schnitzel and crumbs in your hand. And then she had to go call her best friend because she had just gotten home from another best friend. And I was starting to get crazy and I was starting to get way Al-Anon. And I was like, fold the laundry, don't take a break, put the phone out of hand, do it. And then I did my nightly review and I was like, oh, that is the dubious luxury of other mommies. I do not get to get into that kind of tizzy. I was on her back. Now, putting out of their minds the wrongs others have done. Is my daughter okay for not helping? No. Spoiled. Am I enabling her? Possibly. But putting out of the minds how obnoxious those teens may be, how unhelpful, how messy, how lazy. Where was I at fault? Where was I to blame? I didn't believe that a power greater than myself could help fold my laundry and put it away. I mean, we're talking about God. I'm a Jewish woman. I believe in Genesis, 6 days of creation. I believe he created the heavens, the earth, the fish, the sand, the sea, the stars, the galaxies, and aliens if they exist. Power greater than myself can't fold my laundry and put it away. Give me a break. So with that, I want to turn over to Kirsty. Can you talk a little bit about realizing that there's a power greater than yourself, how you had to get small and you had to believe in something real big in recovery, in whatever affairs, and certainly as a mommy on this Momcast?
Yes, thank you, Karen. Kirsty, grateful addict. So, I used to always say, I think I said it last time, less me, more God, less me, more God. And I noodled that out with one of my good friends the other day. And he said to me, some people say like, less me, more God, and like, then say, well, I'm doing this because God's telling me to. I do it. He said, all you need is less you. God fills that space. And, you know, it made a lot of sense. Like, God is in that presence. I just need less me. And today, I know nothing. I know nothing. Every day is a day where I learn. Every day, God discloses more and more to me as I wake up more and more. And I like to remind myself, I know nothing. Today is a learning day. Today is a learning moment. This is a learning second, you know, and I'll share a miracle with you. So I like to tie step 2 in with step 10. Now, the power greater than me is so great that me and my kids' dad have both been in addiction, both been through treatment centres, been through lots of court cases with our children. And, you know, in step 2, I truly believed I was insane, doing the same actions over and over again. And on the bottom of page 24, just after the story about, you know, it's like keep touching that hot flame, you know, keep the insanity of not being able to, sorry, let me just read it. So there is a complete failure of this kind of defense that keeps one from putting his hand on a hot stove. So if a baby puts its hand like on your radiator when they're little, the next time they'll be wary. Like, we don't have that. Like, we keep picking up that first one, even though it causes disaster in our life, we just keep going back to that first one. And it goes on the next paragraph down. When this sort of thinking, so it's talking about, that line is talking about our insane thinking to keep doing that same action over and over again, as if it was putting our hand on a hot flame, is fully established in an individual with alcoholic tendencies. He has probably placed himself beyond human aid. And unless locked up may die or go permanently insane, the stark and ugly facts have been confirmed by legions of alcoholics throughout history. But for the grace of God, there would be been thousands more convincing demonstrations. So many want to stop but cannot. There is a solution. There is a solution, and this is the solution, the spiritual help. It goes on to tell us this book enables us to get to that. But where I'm going with this, I was in that insane thinking. We was going through court cases with our kids. And this Christmas, this is a miracle. So step 2 lines up with our step 10 promises for me. So when we'll seldom be interested in liquor. If tempted, we recoil from a hot flame. So like we never used to. So this Christmas was around lots of different alcohols and things, totally recoiled as I would from a hot flame. Felt safe and protected, did not bother me. And it goes on to say we react sanely and normally. We find this has happened automatically. So the same thinking, I know what happens when I pick up that drink. It means I go into absolute, you know, I cannot stop. So this year I didn't pick up that first one because I reacted sanely and normally. But also that promise means so much more to me. This year I reacted sanely and normally. Me and my kids' dad co-parent. We spent Christmas together with our children. We ceased fighting anything and anyone, even alcohol, even my kids' dad. These step 10 promises was so true in our life this Christmas. And it was a miracle, that insaneness of step 2, that insanity of doing the same thing over and over again, going through court cases, fighting over our kids, keep picking up the first drink. You know, this year we didn't pick up any first and we reacted sanely and normally. We had an absolute, you know, amazing Christmas, being present with our children together, not fighting, not disagreeing, putting my program into action, using that pause, you know, looking at where am I to blame in things, praying it away to God. For me, this is too much. That is a miracle. We couldn't even be in the same room as each other. That a power greater than myself did that. I could not do that. I could not be a mum. I could not be a civil person to agree with another parent how to parent our children. Like, I wasn't capable of that. That is an absolute miracle. And, you know, they've just truly, like, I'm getting overwhelmed now. Like, I can't even tell you the difference in a year. So last Christmas Day, I was very early on in some kind of program, but I'd not found God. I was trying my best, going to meetings, and then in January I went into a treatment centre. This Christmas compared to last Christmas, this Christmas with God in my life, that is the difference. You know, last Christmas I was going to meetings, I had friends in fellowships. But what I didn't have is I didn't have a solid spiritual program of action. I didn't have a God. You know, today I do. And the difference, them steps and promises. Like I used to sit in meetings and think, what do they mean them promises are coming true? How is the life so great? And I used to get resentful and angry over it because I didn't have a program of spiritual action. Today, how different. I'm one of those people that are like, yes, these promises come true. I react sanely and normally. I can be a part of life. I can build a story. I have arrived. That's now how, you know, how that first drink and drug used to make me feel, yes, I've arrived at last. That's how this program makes me today. I've arrived. Like, I can be today, be present. And I have to pause. I'm getting excited. I have to pause when excited. Excitement is a dangerous place. But I know we speak about the difficulties of parenting on here and the challenges. I wanted to share that miracle of my parenting this Christmas. Because it's not all, it's good and bad. We give everything to God, good and bad. So I wanted to share the miracle of, and then on Boxing Day, my little boy shows up with challenges and we go back around. But, you know, it's a process, not an event, a process.
I love what you said there, that it's a process and not an event, or as we say, we Americans say, a process. Kirsty is a woman who's learning this solution. She shared with me over her holiday that she was sitting with their kids. She was getting their nails done. They were dancing. They were putting out music. They were going ice skating. I don't remember else, but this is a woman who is in a treatment center. The very woman who is in a treatment center is getting her nails done and giggling with the girlies. Is that possible? Because see, by any scientific calculation or estimation, it wouldn't be and shouldn't be. Really, the odds are against her and she should be dead. Or insane, as the big book says, right? Insanity or death. I have a few new sponsees who have been sober for a long time. Well, that's a miracle. And they want to tell me their story. And I'm like, oh, let me guess, you're miserable. And they laugh. How did you know? Well, I don't. But I have a book that tells me that my drug, my man, my food, my chocolate isn't my problem. It's my solution. It's what I'm stuffing in myself, because life is my problem. My thinking is my problem, right? It is an allergy of the body and an obsession of the mind. It all starts with our thinking. And see, that's what I call being restored to sanity, being present in your holidays, spending quality time, enjoying it. Did you ever think you would enjoy time with your kids? Or are you just ticking it off, as you say? Tell me a little bit more, Kirsty, and then I want Nadia to share on the same thing. Give me some live examples of the sanity. Where were you restored? What areas were you restored? And where are you sane where you were once insane?
Kirsty, addicts. Let me just. So, for example, my insanity, my teenage boy, for one, the total insanity normally at Christmas, to the lead up to it. Sorry, something else just comes to me as I was about to give you an example. And me and my kids' dad would spend weeks, even months, arguing over who had the kids, what time people saw the kids, who was getting this present or who was getting that present. How insane is that? We both love our children dearly. This year, I reacted sanely and normally because we spoke, we bought the presents together. We said, right, you get this. Oh, my mum's got this. Like, we had such sane, normal conversations. I mean, that might not sound like a lot to many people, but most people, well, people listening to this are addicts, so they probably know in the past, all them parents' defects of selfishness, self-centered, false pride, I want to get this, me. It would always be what I wanted. Whereas this year I went into, how can I be most helpful? How can I be most useful? Like, it's not about where I want the kids to be or what makes me feel like Christmas is going to be good. Like, I wanted to go into the situation is, what is the most helpful, useful? My maximum purpose in life today is to be most helpful, most useful to God and all about me. So how could I be most useful, most helpful to my kids' dad's mum and dad to my mum and dad to my children. Like, I went into the situation thinking what I could give to it rather than what I could get out of it. But what I would normally want to get out of it is not so much things, just validation, you know, that I need to feel okay, so I need to do this, that to feel that way. Whereas this year it wasn't like that. So it was, what does everyone want to do? Where should the kids be at Christmas? You know, whatever happened or fell, I just went with. Instead of trying to take away, I don't know whether I'm making sense here, but just the gift, the biggest gift this year was just the gift of presence, listening to others, acknowledging others, and going with it, not being like, no, I think we should do this, or, you know, just accepting life as it was, and just being. Just being in life, not trying really hard, not getting annoyed, just being. And, you know, it was amazing. It was amazing. It was amazing. And I had some struggles. I mean, I think I noodled my step 10s out with you ladies, and I had some troubles. My teenage son, the example I was about to give you, he got this electric scooter that goes fast and he wouldn't wear a helmet, and like insanely normally I'd be like taking it off him, screaming, shouting, you know. But instead we sat him down and we had sane, normal conversations about safety. And then like asked him why you're so against him, and listen to him, listen to the reasons he was annoyed and he wanted to go out on it without a helmet, and, you know, try to, I don't know. I'm so new to this parenting. And even though I've got a 15-year-old, I feel like I'm a new parent because I was reborn. At my step 3, I'm not the same person. So I'm so new to this. But to me, I felt like that was a lot more sane and normal than ever I would have normally dealt with a situation. Don't get me wrong, I struggled at times. I had to take myself out of the way, go for a walk, connecting to God, speak to another addict, check my thinking because I can't, you know, and work together with other people, accept the help of my children's dad, accept that he is a good parent, and, you know, that I don't always know best. Get the outside help, and God, go to God on everything. And, you know, God always comes through for me. You know, I have that ultimate trust that as long as I put the right action in, God has got me. God has got my children today.
Nadia, restored to sanity. Tell us how you restored to sanity. Your parenting's restored to sanity. Recovery sanity.
Thank you. So I'll just quickly take you to page 21, the third paragraph. So this is what it looked like in our house. There was a Dr. Jekyll and a Mr. Hyde. So you guys in the rooms would see the sweetest little bubbliest human being come onto the meetings. And once I ended meeting and jumped off here, it was a complete psycho, antisocial, acting dangerously and disgusting. I was incredibly dishonest and selfish and lack of control. I would do absurd, incredibly tragic things. The list goes on and on. You can go to page 21. That's what it looked like in our home, in here, without me parenting, without a spiritual solution. And now, what it looks like now after I had this. So there was this, Kirsty, you said it. We were reborn. And I think there's many times, for me, I don't know if this is everybody else's experience. For me, I have been reborn many times in this process. Spiritual awakenings, new levels. I don't know. It's like next level up. And I was reborn as a parent into this program. And I'm sure there'll be a couple of more shedding of the parent's skin and the old ideas and the limiting beliefs. But what it looks like now is talking, communicating, allowing my daughter to come with her ideas, keeping quiet, listening attentively, not criticizing, not arguing, putting aside all the wrongs she has done, using these spiritual tools, using these suggestions that are in here. And, you know, we come and it's so much more peaceful in our home, guys. It is so much more peaceful in our homes. And when I put up my hands and I say, Mama has to go now, because if what next is going to come out of my mouth is going to be crazy town stuff, got it. There's going to be more amends. It's just going to be you feeling confused and angry and hurt. I need to walk away. And she's like, she's got it this time because she's seen enough crazy cuckoo in her life. And I can just lovingly, firmly just say to her, I need to go. I need to pause because I'm agitated. It's not really the words I use, but anyway, we mix it up, we make it work. Here's what it looks like. These are the promises. You touched on the promises, Kirsty. Here's some more. This book is full of them, and this book is full of some secret, sneaky promises too, even in the stories afterwards. So on page 475, one of the ladies that I'm working with in taking through this work again, she's an incredible gift to me, and we're working shoulder to shoulder. She read this to me this morning. I want to read it to you. Page 475, near the bottom of the page. The people, the moms, the parents, the uncles, the aunts of Alcoholics Anonymous have provided a haven where if I remain aware and keep my mind quiet enough, my higher power, God, leads me to amazing realizations. I find joy in my daily life. Oh, yes, daily shots of joy in being of service, in simply, Kirsty, you said it, being. Karen, you said it, being. I loved what you said about Genesis, the God of Genesis. Man, that was beautiful. Wow, got me crying. I have found rooms full of wonderful people. And for me, each and every one of the big book's promises have come true. The things that I have learned from my own experience, from the big book, and from my friends, my brothers and sisters in AA, CA, OA, SLAA, doesn't matter as long as we're working out the book, my fellowship of the spirit, patience, acceptance, honesty, humility, and true faith in a power greater than myself are the tools I use today to live my life, this precious life.
Do you remember when you worked step 2, Nadia? Do you remember the first time you came across step 2? Or when you read it with a sponsee and helped them understand coming to believe? Nadia?
I remember the first time for me. It all happened in one. That step 1, step 2, step 3 experience happened for me in an eye blink. And it's each time. It's not was, it is each time I have to relinquish yet another modicum of control, this perceived control that I have. And when I'm taking my sponsees through that, because what you can see when they're sitting there and there's this part of their life that they're still convinced that they can control. They're still convinced they've got power over it. They're still convinced that they can manage it. And the minute God, the minute life, the minute you as a sponsor or someone doing the work with somebody else shoots that truth at them in that moment of like, oh, no, I am completely powerless. That magic of conceding that you're powerless is where that very next waking up to, oh my God, I need something greater than me. And it can't be me no more. It can't be me no more. And this has happened time and time and time again in my recovery process in these rooms. It's this. I hope I'm coming across properly here, but it's that moment of like, I don't have the power. Oh my God, there's something else. And thank God in this process, I have come to believe a couple of times, God reveals more. It says God will reveal more. And each time I think, okay, cool, I've hit the ceiling. The ceiling comes crashing down on my head and I get to experience some more. In that pain is that beautiful, beautiful spiritual growth towards God, towards Him, which is inside. But yeah, thanks.
Amazing. We're going to take a question here. Kirsty, one of our audience members asked anonymously, how do you feel God's love and care? Can you share how to build a spiritual practice and the most important daily elements? How do you hand the kids over to God? What do you say to yourself? Great question.
Yeah, big question. So it was a 3-part question, if I'm right. The first, can you just repeat the question, Karen?
Spiritual practice.
So what do I do? How do I build a spiritual practice?
Oh, yeah. How do you do a spiritual practice And then let's just make it 2 parts since we're running low on time. And we started late, and giving the kids to the care of God as you understand Him.
Okay, so my spiritual practice is I perform God's work well and keep close to Him. Perform God's work well and keep close to Him. So I wake up and I like to have my calendar and all my little, but tight schedule. But as well, my little plans and designs don't work. So when I get up, I do my morning prayers, I do a meditation, and I connect into that power. At first, I did this and felt nothing, but I kept doing it until God comes to all who earnestly seek. But today, I do them morning prayers, and I love doing them morning prayers. I connect into God. I'd be asked to be divorced from self-pity, self-seeking, dishonest motives. I do the step-free prayer religiously every morning, relieve me from the bondage of myself. And then I ask God, I pray for the knowledge and the strength to carry what His will is for me. Help me see what your will is for me, God. And then, when things just come in my day, I know it's God putting them there. If I'm fighting against anything, I know it's me going back into my will. I try and live in the principles, being honest, loving. Like sometimes I don't always know if I'm in God's path, but I know what's not in God's path. So I know if I'm living in all them principles, then I know I'm close to God. And when I perform God's work well, when I help others, when I take on service, work with another alcoholic, or be helpful. My main thing is being most helpful and most useful. I feel like that's when I'm closest to God, and all these miracles in my life. The miracles in my life, like the help I get from my kids' dad with my kids, things like that would never have been imaginable to be possible. That is God. I know it is, because I know it is not me. And how do I, the second part of the question, so my daily spiritual practice is prayers and meditation in the morning, pausing, always connecting into God. If I feel, anything, then I connect into God. My daily practices are to connect to God. The more I connect with God, the more present I am, the more I feel I'm with God. And then I do prayers and meditation again in the evening, but I do pray a lot at night. I do pray a lot throughout the day as well. And just generally, like in simple terms for anyone new around, being a good person, doing the things that I never used to do. So, swapping the selfishness, self-centeredness for kind acts, going out of my way to work against what would be the norm for me. And how do I turn my kids over and things with my kids? Do you know, it's a hard question because it changes all the time. It changes all the time. Today, I absolutely know I have no control over them, and I can't have. I absolutely know that in my heart, and I know when I fight against outcomes, that it doesn't work. It doesn't work. So today, the easiest way I can explain it, if I have a problem with my children, I have a lot of fear around my teenage son being out. He gets in a lot of trouble and does a lot of things that I don't want him to. But it's not about that today. So I put the right action in always. I always do the responsible things, make him be in at a sensible time, put boundaries in place, put the right action in, but the outcome I absolutely leave in God's hands. And it says in the book, I can't remember the exact word, I have to have ultimate trust in God, infinite trust in God and not myself. So if I totally trust God, then I totally trust His outcomes. And I do. I have total faith that God has got me if I perform God's work well. So I keep close to God and try and perform His work to the best of my ability. And I know God's got me, got my children. And I don't know if that explains the question. So if it doesn't, please ask the question in another way, and I don't know if that's answered the question.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm going to answer the question as well before I hand it over to Nadia. How I give it over is I want my daughter to fold laundry. She wants me to joke around with her and talk about her friends. God wants me to be present for her. So, right, we stop doing the things we want to do. Control, boss around, yell, scream, bully, manage. And I do the things I don't want to do. You know, I was ticked off my daughter didn't help with the laundry yesterday. Now, I thought saying sorry wasn't, you know, we don't mumble apologies, but this morning, on a diet, I said, I went to sleep. I did a step 10 on that. I was like, okay, I got to make an amends here. Putting out of our minds the wrongs others have done. But I did cut her an apple and I bought her like a 65-calorie fitness bar. And that was my living amend for today. And I'm going to keep praying on that. But that's how I give my child over. I ask, what does she want? What does she need? And then what would God have me be? Who would God have me be? Nadia, you want to answer that one?
I'm going to take that that question, that part of the question that was, how do you hand your kids over to God? And you both have answered it so beautifully. How do you hand your kids over, right? Do you like literally how do you find God's hands and put them in there? You can't. We can't do that. So it's doing the things I want to do. Stop doing the things we want to do, because I know what the outcome is when I do the things I want to do, you know, controlling and negotiating. And if you don't do this, then this won't happen. And da, 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 da. So I ask God, how do you want me to be? How do you want me to be? Because I know how to show up for the situation and I know what the outcome is each and every single time. It's chaos. So I stop. And I ask God, I look up and I ask God, what is it right now that I need to be doing here? That's placing my kid in God's hands, because like you said, Kirsty, we've got teenagers who do go out. There's a lot more freedom here. We've got a small town, so it's quite safe. You know, there's the track on the phone. There are Ubers around here. There's a lot of kids together. All the parents know where all the kids are. And there's a lot of not obsessing. So the minute the stuff comes into my head, because it's the problem of my disease centers in my mind. So the minute the stuff comes in, I stop and I turn my thoughts to somebody I can help, to a newcomer I can call, to getting into this work. Thank God I've got a lot of sponsees that I'm working with, so I'm busy all the time. But the thing is here for me, and it's just popped into my head. The minute I have any idea of how to control this outcome, I'm in my will, clap, and then I haven't handed it over. There's no peace. There's not going to be a good outcome. I can promise you there's not going to be a good outcome. And I can feel when I'm trying to control the situation, my neck starts to tense, my brain gets hot here, my cheeks start flushing, my body starts telling me, and it says here on page 88, it says here, we do not tire so easily, for we are not burning up energy foolishly as we did when we were trying to arrange life to suit ourselves. Isn't that awesome? God's not only given us brains to use, but he's given us a body that tells us when we are trying to run the show. And I've just got to stop.
Can I just add something to that, Karen? Is that okay? So the question at the end, I like to say the words turn it over rather than hand it over. So, because it sounds so drastic, doesn't it? Handing our kids over. So I turn my will and life over to the care of God. I turn my children over. So turn to me means I go to God. I turn to God for the help, guidance, and support, rather than just hand them over because, they're my kids, but I'm handing the control over, but I'm turning to God for direction and guidance. I'm still putting all the right action in as a parent, which I never used to do. I didn't know how to. But with God's guidance and turning to God, I can then show up and be accountable, responsible, and, listen to my kids today. And again, not think exactly what Nadia said, not the outcome I want as a parent. What's the most helpful outcome, the most useful? The outcome is none of my business. Exactly what Nadia said, none of my business.
Amazing. Any last thoughts, Kirsty or Nadia, before we wrap up here?
You right in the beginning, Karen, you asked me, like, how did I come to believe? And I've said this before, and I'm going to say it again. I probably will say it again a few more times. But the fact that we're doing this work together, is another layer in that foundation of mine of coming to believe, because I don't think there's an actual destination. One of you two beautiful souls said it, Nana. It's not a destination. This is it's spiritual progress, not spiritual perfection. And the fact that I'm sitting here with two women that I'm building a relationship with, that I've loved from day one, that are in this parenting boat with me, that are sharing their wisdom, their experience, their strength, their hope with me, that I'm doing this, is just such a gift. It's every time I meet up with you guys, my teenager always, funny enough, pops in while we're doing it. She's obviously curious, or, I don't know, she needs something, which is fine. And then when I look at her and I look at you two, and I just think, oh my God, I was doing this alone a year ago. I love you. I love you. Thank you.
Yeah, amazing. This is not an event. This is a process. And we invite you to join us on our journey, trudging the road of happy destiny, shoulder to shoulder. We invite you, Kirsty, Nadia, you want to put your contact info in the chat. You could find me or any of our ladies by going to Reco12.com. You can reach out to Justin B. We are happy to trudge this road with you, to trudge the parenting road. You show up for this meeting as a participant, or if you want, you could share. And I promise you, your parenting, your employeeship, your honesty, your business dealings, everything will be much improved, right? Because you have a commitment. I probably didn't lose it on my team yesterday, because I know I had to suit up and show up today, even with all our technical difficulties, which I sometimes have, but that's okay. That's part of God's plan. So with that, I'm going to say a little prayer. We can all take a deep breath together. And my prayer is to all of you, that whether as a mommy, a wife, a friend, a coworker, a daughter, or a sister, or just a good old fellow, you may come to believe and be restored to sanity. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Kirsty. Thank you, Nadia. Thank you to our participants and the Reco12 family. Have a great day.
Standing still a moment, carving out this time, reflecting on the landscape of this life of mine. Peaks too high to conquer, streams too wide to cross, troughs too deep to walk through without incurring loss. Yet here I am, still standing tall, despite the rough terrain. One like me survived the storms and walked through wind and rain. Still standing, I will fight the good fight, still searching for glimmers of light, feet still on the ground. I can still be found, standing still.
My wings are torn and tattered, but I know I still can fly. I may not soar unfettered, I may not rise too high.
Recorded in the book of life and bind it with the seal